keyboard, mouse, all that kind of stuff. Basically what you do is you can point your browser to web.whatsapp.com, and then when you get there, it's going to, I'll show you what it looks like. It would come up with this little code here. Now what you would do is you'd actually point your, you'd open WhatsApp on your phone, and there's the 3 dots in the top right corner there, and you would click on the option that says, one second, let me get there. Just go to it. 3 dots, and it's going to say WhatsApp Web. So when you click on WhatsApp Web, then it's going to give you a little camera scanner, and you're going to point that at the QR code on your screen. And when you do, it's going to capture your WhatsApp session, and it's going to then put that between your phone and your computer. It's going to sync them, okay? So it will be as though you were working from your phone, except for you actually get the full use of your keyboard, mouse, and screen. Now, the other nice thing is that you can turn on desktop notifications. You'll notice it says get notified of new messages. So this means if you're in another tab working in Facebook or what have you, you can actually have it notify you when you receive a message. So you can click on that and you hit allow notifications. And then if somebody was to send you a message when you're in another screen, then it will pop that up for you. Okay. Now, with WhatsApp, unlike something like Facebook where you have a news feed and all of that, WhatsApp is based on groups and contacts. So it's more like a sophisticated messenger, somewhat similar to Skype if you've used Skype. But WhatsApp is far more popular in regions like Africa and like international markets. WhatsApp is hugely prevalent worldwide, and Skype doesn't have that kind of reach. Not to mention that Skype's features, when it comes to like groups and so on, just not at all the same. So the first thing that you can do is on your phone, you can message somebody, and once you message them, they're going to have their name. You notice here, there's Mike's name there. That's because I've messaged him in Skype before, and so it will actually keep track of what you've sent in the previous conversation, as you would expect, and you get that for everybody. So now let's say, for example, somebody sends you a message and you want to remember that for later. You're like, oh, gee, I don't want to lose that message. Maybe they're sending you information on how to get to their property or whatever. Each message in WhatsApp has a little menu. Each message has one, and you can click on this little down arrow here, and you can access the little menu for that particular message. And so you can do, for example, you can find out who has looked at this message. So if you sent somebody a message and you want to find out if they've looked at it, you could hit message info, and it would actually tell you if they've read it. You can see that it's delivered. It shows 2 check marks here when it's delivered. The check marks turn blue when they've read it, but it'll actually say in the message info that they've read it as well, right? And it'll say when they read it, so you see the details there. Additionally, as I said, you can use the drop-down arrow, and you can what's called star the message. When you star the message, it will actually put it in a list which you can get back to of any starred messages that you saved. You can go and you can if you look in this little button here, you can see starred right here, and this is where you can see any of the messages that you've wanted to remember for later. Now, the nice thing is that with any one of those, once you have it in that list, you can then forward the message, to somebody else. So, or you can forward it back to the same person or whatever. Let's say you sent it before and then you start it and then you want to send it again. You just hit forward message and type in their name, and it would put it back into the feed in the current, at the current time slot. Okay, so that's starred messages. So does everybody understand that's kind of like bookmarking a message for later use? Does that make sense? Almost like pinning it for later? And that's using the star feature. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Also, if you want to respond to a specific message, like, you know, maybe you got several messages and one of them you really liked what they said in that message, again, you can activate the little message specific menu and you can reply to that particular message. Now, your messages outbound will be on one side and the other messages inbound will be on the other side. So let's say, for example, I wanted to respond to Mike saying, call me. I would gonna drop this down and I would hit reply. It's gonna quote his message and then I can just use an emoticon or I can send a message or whatever I want. I can type a message and then I can hit the send button and you'll notice that it references his initial message to me and my response. Okay, so that he can see, oh, yeah, he's saying, yeah, okay, I'll call you, right? Additionally, let's say, for example, you send something, you're like, oh boy, did I ever have some typos in that one. When you're working on the desktop, it's nice because you can actually select the text and then you can right click and copy it. And then you can go ahead and delete the message. And then it'll ask you if you want to delete it for you or for everybody. In this case, it's just saying for me because it's too late, he's already seen it. But if you hadn't seen it yet, it would say for everybody as well. And once that message is deleted, then you would just paste in the text and fix your typos. Like maybe I spelt this with a THNK when I initially posted it, and oh my goodness, I misspelled that. Maybe I needed a comma or whatever, and I can go in and I can touch it up because maybe I typed it really quick or whatever, and then I can just fix it up and I can hit send again and it'll go out, right? So for people like me who are a little bit picky when I make mistakes like that, it's a great feature. Some people may not care, but I happen to like that. So additionally, you can forward a message. Let's say somebody sent you a message and you think somebody else should read it. Well, again, just hit the forward and you can choose multiple messages that you can forward with the little check boxes if you wanted to. And then you're going to hit the forward link, forward messages. And then you can search for whoever you want to forward that to. And you can either forward it to an individual or to a group, whatever you'd like. So let's say I wanted to forward it to Colio, and then I would hit, maybe I would send that same one to Jenny. So I see my list here of people it's going to send to, and I could hit that little arrow or paper airplane, whatever you think it is, and then it would fire off those selected messages to those individuals. So it's, in that sense, is very similar to what you probably experienced on other platforms. Additionally, you can also just hit the, if you do a multiple select like that, you can hit the delete and it will delete all the messages at once if you wanted to do that. Let's say there's a thread and you maybe went on a rant and then you're like, oh, you know what, I lost my head. And you go in there and just select them all with the check boxes and hit the delete and clear them out of there and save your bacon. And additionally, so if that's probably mostly what you're going to see in terms of these message-specific menus. Any questions on the message-specific menus so far? We all good there?
I don't have any.
All right. So here's another nice feature too. let's say, for example, Mike was sending me some information on LFI, and it was some ways back, and I couldn't remember where that was. Then I can just hit that search button. I can start typing in the word that I want to look for, and it's going to bring up previous points in our conversation where I used that word. Now that is very handy. That's something very unique to WhatsApp. I really love that feature, and it highlights the specific, you see how when I click on it, it's highlighting the specific message that has that content in it. So it stands out to you and you don't miss it. Make sense?
Yep.
And
yep.
Any questions on searching? Okay, so the down here in WhatsApp, you'll notice that there's this microphone. The microphone, you can click and hold it, and it will start recording your voice. And when you let go, whatever you spoke, it will put it as an audio file that you can click play on, and it will start recording your voice, and they can play it back. So it's very handy for group messaging and things like that when you don't want to be typing a lot. Maybe you're driving and you got to have hands free, so you just hit the record button and go ahead and record an audio. It could be really great for group messaging, or just if you're, even if you're using it between your spouse and yourself, and you're out somewhere and you're dictating something and you need to leave a little voice message for your spouse or what have you, you have that, or significant other, you have that there. So then again, I didn't want that one, so I'm going to hit delete message. And you notice how in this case, I can say delete for everyone, and then it says you deleted this message. So that's the audio recording capability for audio messages. And over here you have the emoticons that you can choose from, like on other platforms that you're used to. So you just choose the ones you want, and it'll start filling them in below, and then you can put your text along with it. This is your frequently used ones, so whatever you've been using in recent history, it's going to put those at the very top in this list right here.
Jim?
Yep.
When you delete, does it always show that it's deleted, or will that eventually go away?
No, it'll still say you deleted this message.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can, if you don't like it showing there, you like kind of sometimes don't like to see it. It'll still say they deleted, like on the other side, it'll say that you sent a message and you deleted it, but it won't say what the message was. It'll just say they deleted the message. And then, but if you want to clean up your feed, you can always right-click. You can always click on the menu and choose delete message and delete for me, and it'll clear it out of your history altogether.
Okay.
So
thank you.
I like to do that anyway. Like for me, I like a cleaner feed, but they'll still see that you deleted it. So, and then, so obviously with your emoticons, you can also put in text to go with it. And you can obviously hit your send button, and then Mike will see that I'm grumpy. And you can once again delete that for everyone. And if we're here, we can also choose from a couple of other options as well. You can see that there's this GIF option, and if you're looking for some kind of meme, you could use those features, which I almost never use. And additionally, there is larger sort of animated. Some of them I think are animated, but they're larger sort of icons. Okay, and that's pretty much the extent of the individual conversation when you're having a conversation with just one person.
So whoever you're communicating with has to have the app also, correct?
Yes, for WhatsApp, yes. You have to both have it. If you're using WhatsApp and then you want to send somebody an invite, you can do that. So on your phone, you'd need to do it. and you'd open WhatsApp, and then you'd say new. You'd choose a new chat, and then you'd actually type in the name of the person that you want to send a message to. Let's say it was John. And now if John wasn't on WhatsApp, it would actually say, would you like to send an invite to John? Because he's not on WhatsApp, right? And then you'd say yes, and then it would invite him. And then if he accepted, then you'd be able to then, it would install the app, and then he'd be able to message back and forth with you using WhatsApp.
So
Go ahead.
is WhatsApp basically a phone app to begin with?
Yes. Yes, it's phone-based. Yeah.
And can you get it from what, the Apple Store or?
You can. Yeah, you can download it from the Android store or the Apple Store, the App Store. And additionally, I wanted to show you this as well, is this pinning feature. So let's say, for example, there was somebody that you communicate with on a regular basis, and you want to make sure that they stay up at the top. WhatsApp will allow you to pin 3 at most at the top of your contact list. Now, they still will scroll out of view, but the point is that they stay at the top of your list. So every time you open WhatsApp, those 3 would be at the top. And of course, you can additionally search for a person, and you can message them directly.
Okay, I got a question about when you're setting this up and it asks you for your phone number.
Yep.
Do you have to show your actual cell phone number, or can you show your Google number and it'll come through on that?
I think as long as it's a unique number. I don't know that it really cares whether it's your cell number or not. I don't know about that, but I've always used my cell phone number.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's specific on that. I know that it wants to uniquely identify you, and I'm not sure if it demands that it be the number that's registered on your phone or not.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. There is also this feature, which is your status screen, and you can see anybody that's posted a status update. So this is, in fact, one of my LFI affiliates over in Uganda, and she had used that status feature to promote Shuffle. So it's just an example of the status feature, which, from what I can tell, you cannot create your own status update from the web interface. Some features of WhatsApp are specific to using it right on the phone. The web app is quite full-featured. You can do almost everything on the web app, but there's some features which I think pertain to the fact that you have media that's on your phone, and so I think that's why some features are just not available in the web app. Like, for example, adding your status. And it could just be that it's something that they're going to add later. I'm not sure, but right now you have to do your status updating on your phone. But nonetheless, here you can see other people's status updates, so that's a very nice thing to be able to do that. So additionally, you can click on your face in the top left corner, and you see your profile. You can update your name that shows up in WhatsApp, and you can update your About section as well. Okay, so if I was to click on Adolfo, you can see his profile picture there, and you can see the About information that he's put in there, and then his phone number, right? So that's where that About, this About detail that you see here, if somebody was to click on my contact record, then they would see that under the About in here. So it would say my name that I have here would show, and then it would show this in the About section. And as you can see, you can if you happen to know the shortcuts for certain emoticons, you can insert them yourself and it will convert it to an emoticon. So that'd be, you know, like your certain keystrokes, and then it would actually convert those into, depends on not all of them work, but yeah, see there's another one. So if you happen to know what the keystrokes are for some emoticons, then you can get those even in your about status. And that can make your about status stand out a bit. And that's about the top bar for all of this and the bottom here. So now I'm going to show you about groups. So groups are pretty straightforward to create. You can click on the three dots up here, the ellipsis, and you can create a new group by clicking New Group. And then you just start typing in names. And you click on the name. And you click on another person. And you just keep adding new people. And then once you have the people you want to start the group with, you don't have to have everybody in there, but you know, at least a couple members. You can always add later. And so you hit the little arrow here, and it's going to ask you for the subject of the group, and that's a maximum of 25 characters in length. And you can, in the group subject, you can also insert emoticons in there if you want to, including national flags and things like that. So if you have a group that's centered around a country, then you could actually insert the flag in the name. So as an example, I could, you know, I could choose you know, and then you just put, you know, you see you have your national, the flag of the nation, and then the team building, right? Just as an example. Additionally, you can add a group icon, which I would recommend that you do, because otherwise it'll just be a gray circle. And I think it puts the first letter or first couple of letters in the circle if you don't put a group icon. And you could put whatever picture you want in there, or you could even take a photo. Like, let's say it's your group, and so you put a picture of yourself in that group icon. Or you can upload a photo from your computer or what have you, and you can adjust it by zooming in or out. You can drag it around. And then that will be the icon for that group. So I'm just going to cancel out of that because I'm actually not wanting to create that group. But once the group is created, again, you can do the same thing with the group as you do with the individual, which is to say that you can pin or unpin a chat. So it can be a chat with an individual or a chat with a group. So for example, I would have to unpin one of these to pin another one. So let's say I would want to unpin the Business Boost core team. I click unpin chat, and then I could choose Mike's, and I could pin Mike's, and it's going to bump him up. Whatever the last one was that you pin is going to put it at the top. So if you need to resort the order, then you have to unpin them and put them in. The bottom one is going to be pinned first, the next one's going to be pinned second, and the top one's going to be pinned third. So if I wanted the Business Boost core team to be up top, I would first unpin this. Then I would search for a portion of the title, and I would then pin it. And it's going to stick it right at the top. Okay, and now if we're in a group, similar things you can do that you saw on the other screen. You can, record an audio that the whole group will be able to listen to, which is really great for group training, like audio training or inspirational like podcast kind of idea. Again, your emoticons in your texts. And here's something I didn't show you before, but it is available in your chat with individuals, is this paperclip option. When you choose this, you can upload photos or videos from your computer. You can use the camera on your computer to take a picture. You can use a document and insert that into the feed, like a PDF file or an Excel document or Word document or whatever. And you can also attach a contact. So that would be somebody who's already in your contact list. You could search for that person, and you could then add that person's contact details into the feed, which would then enable the person you're chatting with or the group you're chatting with to be able to reach out to that person and connect with them. So let's say, for example, I'm in here, and let me go to, yeah, you get the idea. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to, this is a group I wouldn't want to add somebody else into right now. So, but let's say, for example, I wanted to add photos or videos. I would click on this, and then it's going to let me browse for a photo or a video that I would then be able to upload to the conversation. So I could go ahead and I could choose pictures, and I could grab a picture, or I could go to videos, and I could grab one of those MP4s, and it would insert it into the feed. So if I just do a really small one, just as an example, when you attach it, it allows you to put a caption with it as well. And then you can hit submit, or you can also add an additional file if you want. And you can keep doing that until you're content. And this was only one case, so it's just to give you an example though. And then once you have your message, you'd be able to hit send. And that one's only 4 seconds. But you can see how it's added it into the feed. And you can hit the play button. It'll bring it into the view, and it'll start it playing right off the bat. And then when you're done, you could either download that video, you could forward the video, you could star the video for later, bookmark it for later, or you could also go directly to the message in the feed. All right. Now in this case, I don't want that video in there. So once again, I'm going to use that context menu, and I'm going to hit delete. Now you will notice when I drop this menu down, it is a little bit different because there is a download option where I can download that onto my computer. And in this case, I just want to delete it, and I want to delete for everyone. Okay. Again, at the top here, you can see that there's the name of the group. And then when you click over here and go group info now, you're going to see some additional features. So you'll see this is the name of the group you created. Once you create the group, you can go in afterwards and you can edit the description for the group so that when people come into the group, they can go into the group info and find out what the group is for. What is this group focused on? This is not overly lengthy. It doesn't give you like paragraphs of information here. This is generally a short paragraph that it's looking for you to add there. And you would just hit the check mark when you're done editing that. Additionally, what's really neat about the group info page is that you can click on media, links, and docs. And that is the equivalent of when you shared using these icons. Whatever you share using these icons or these buttons will actually have the equivalent section in this tab here, where you can click on media, links, and docs and see previously posted pictures, any documents that were uploaded, and any links that were submitted in this feed so that you can go back to them. Again, You can click on it and it will open that link, for example. Now, let's say you wanted to add this to starred posts. You can click on the check mark, and then you would hit the star, and it would then keep it in the starred message list. And this would be like the starred links list. All right. So that's your media, docs, and links tab. And it does give you a preview of the last few things that were in those categories when you go into group info. So let's say you had a whole lot of dialogue and it was a while since you actually saw any of these items in the feed, then this would be the place where you'd actually see the most recent ones. You can also mute the feed. So let's say you've got a very active feed and you're like, okay guys, I've had like 50 notifications in the last 20 minutes because you guys are all talking back and forth. I'm just gonna click mute, and I'm gonna mute it for, let's say, 8 hours until you're done your conversation, and then I'm gonna hit mute. Now you'll still get the notifications. It'll still, it'll show an indicator here that somebody sent a message, but it just won't bing. Like, it won't bother you on your phone, and you won't get the noise. It won't harass you, okay? So you can just mute that. To unmute it is very simple. You can either click the icon over here that's the mute if this is closed. So you can unmute it like this. Oh, sorry. You can unmute it like this. Cancel mute. And it will turn the mute off so you can receive those notifications again. Similarly, you could have done it through this 3 dots menu or on this tab here where it says mute. You could do it in any one of those 3 places. And what's neat about groups is, you remember when I showed you before the starred messages that are in here? These are just starred messages that are pretty much anywhere. But these are starred messages for this specific group. So if you were to click on starred message here, then it's going to go into, when you go into the group info and you slide down to starred messages, you would see any that have been stored here that you can reuse for later. Now, one way I tend to use this feature is, let's say, for example, I have a welcome message that I would like to send out to new people who join my group. What I would do is, the first time I would create the message and I get it just the way I want it, then I would actually star the message and it would store it in there. Then they would join the group, and I can then hit, I can go to forward message. So I can choose from the drop-down menu, I can choose forward message, and I can choose who I want to forward that to. So I would forward it to the new person who just joined the group. And then they would get that in their personal feed. So rather than it's filling up, like let's say you had 20 people who joined in the last couple of days, rather than having that same message appear over and over and over in the feed, you can actually forward it directly to the person, and it'll show up in their feed, and it'd be like a welcome message, like welcome to the Discover Business Boost group or whatever, right? And that way it keeps your group feed clean, but you have these group-specific messages that you use for specific times. And let's say it's a policy thing. Maybe you have a policy post that somebody's breaking policy, or maybe they didn't understand it. Then you would have a policy post, and you could just forward that policy post to them, and that way they would have it. Additionally, if you click on the post, it will sometimes bring it in a larger view like this, or you can see in this case, it actually scrolled it right to where that post was. So that's starred messages. This is a listing of the people who are in this particular group. And when you click on the search button here, you can search to see if somebody's in the group. And then if they are, you can message them directly like this. If you're an admin for a group, you can also remove somebody from the group. And also you can make somebody an admin so that they have the ability to remove people from the group as well. Admins also have the right to change the description and the title of the group and the group icon as well. So they can do certain administrative aspects. And one of the things they could do is they can add a participant to the group, and they can choose who they want to add by doing a search or just checking on certain people and then hitting the checkbox, and that will add them into the group. One of the things that I like to do when I want to add somebody into a group is, unless I know for a fact they want to be in the group, I like to invite them to join rather than just shoving them in there. Unless it's a procedure that I've already told them about, it's part of the training. I say, and I will be adding you to such and such a group so that you can be notified of X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense? So I prefer to go on the side of permission-based adding people to a group unless I've already notified them as part of some kind of procedure that they'll be being added to the group. And that way you can avoid ticking somebody off because they didn't want to be in there, and then they started getting notifications and that bothered them. So what you can do is you can, as the admin for a group, you can click on invite to group via link, and you can send a link via WhatsApp to a specific person. So I can click on this, I can choose the person I want to send the link to, and I can hit send, and it will send the link that way. Additionally, I can copy the link, and then I can make it part of a message. If you want to invite anyone to join our group, simply send them this link. And then you can paste it in, and then you can hit send. It'll automatically generate a preview with the icon of the group, along with the name of the group, and it'll let them know that it is a group invite as well, so they know what it is. And that way they won't just wonder, oh, if I click on that, what's it going to be? Okay? So that's how you can send a group invite through a copy link. Additionally, that copy link feature where you're copying the link to the clipboard, you can post that in other places outside of WhatsApp, and it will work. I've tried it a few times, and it does work. So for those of you who are already using Shuffle in your business, this, by the way, is a way that I've added people to a card, or through a card, I should say, to a WhatsApp group. So to give you an example, when we hit preview here, this is not the one. Okay. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but basically you can just go into a card and click edit. You can go to your buttons tab, which is number 4, and then you can go down to your buttons, click the plus sign, paste in your WhatsApp link, and then give it a title. And then you would just hit next and save that out. And all they would then have to do if they were on that card is click that, and it would automatically hop them over to WhatsApp, and it would automatically join them into the group. So they wouldn't have to even request to be added. It would add them automatically because you've given them that permission to do that. So that's a very handy feature if you're using WhatsApp groups as a training feature, as a way of equipping new people that are joining your team. You want them plugged in, and so you could set up a welcome card with some information on there, maybe a button in there to link to some documents or whatever that you want them to read through, and an invitation to join the WhatsApp support group as well. So that's a great way of using that invite link. Additionally, let's say, for example, that somebody abused the link. They put it out there in some kind of forum, and you got all kinds of people joining that you don't want. What you can do is you can revoke the link, and it will make that link null and void. It won't work anymore. And it will generate a new link. Now, the only problem with doing that is that it makes it a pain for anybody that's already shared that. They would have to update the link to the group wherever they put it. So I encourage you to be careful about who you give the link out to, because revoking it can be a bit of a pain for, like, if it's been disseminated and it's in a bunch of people's card links and things like that or whatever. So just be careful about that one. Okay, then you hit back again to get back to here. One of the things you'll notice is that there is an indicator beside the name of any person that you've promoted to admin. So that's very helpful because you can just at a glance tell very easily who is admin and who isn't, right? So now on yourself, you're not going to be able to click yourself, but if somebody else was an admin, you could remove them from being an admin. It would sit, this says make them a group admin, so that promotes them to admin. And then if they're already an admin, you can demote them back to a regular user. Or additionally, as I said before, if they're abusing the group, you can just remove them from the group altogether. Now, let's say, for example, you're a user of the group and you don't want to be in the group anymore. You can go into group info and you can exit the group. And that would just bump you out. You're no longer a participant in the group and you don't get any more notifications, and you won't be able to see the items posted in the group anymore. And this last one here is for reporting a group if the group is abusive or they're infringing upon WhatsApp standards or whatever. They have it.
We lost them?
He froze up.
Yeah, look like we lost
Who? Lost who?
Jim.
Jim.
I wonder if that happens on WhatsApp.
I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know, but if he froze, he'll come back in. But I want y'all to understand that when we start reaching out, basically, when we're reaching out into these countries, because before I didn't use WhatsApp. I mean, I got it and I really didn't use it. It was on my phone and I wasn't using it. But when I got that phone bill from talking to Jim, I started using WhatsApp because I was calling him directly, and he's in Canada. So, and he's building with Elify and Shuffle into Africa and all of these foreign countries using the WhatsApp. So when we start that move, or you get those connections through Facebook or wherever you're interacting with these people in other countries, they already use WhatsApp. They're using it. It's just that I want you to have at least a little understanding of WhatsApp so that you can start your conversation with them And there's, other things inside of WhatsApp, like building groups and stuff like that. But, you're going to eventually, if you're interacting with people, you're going to eventually get them to shuffle, because your ultimate goal is to get them onto the tool that's going to bring you some money, some income. This will be a good tool to get the first conversations going, but you're ultimately marketing something, right?
Right.
Right.
So, Mike, I have a question. What the WhatsApp? How do you know where these people are located? I mean, I know it's a phone app, so
Right. But the people that are conversating with you, not unless somebody calls you out of the blue, but the people you're conversating with, you're going to know. You're going to know that you called them, you invited them to WhatsApp, or they called you, But it's just like anything else. You're not going to use it inside of the United States. Some people do. Miguel uses it quite a bit, only because he talks to his family in the Dominican Republic. That's all they use. I mean, it's been like, I don't know, at least 7-8 years, I guess, he's been telling me about WhatsApp, and I've just been, yeah, right. I don't talk to anybody out of the country, so I don't use it. But when you start doing it, please use WhatsApp, because I learned the lesson. Like I told y'all, I'm talking to Jim, and I'm using my phone, and all of a sudden I get this bill, and I'm like, what? Because, I'm like, well, Canada, we're on the same continent. No, they don't think so. That bill was out there. I was like, $180. I was like, what? Man, I never did it again.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I wanted to say about the WhatsApp groups, and I'm sorry I did lose the call there for a minute. One of the things that I've done with the WhatsApp groups is I've done staged progression. So I have one group where I called it Tools for Success. And this one I actually use as a general tool for teaching people about business tools on the internet and business techniques in marketing. And then I once I recruit from there, I bump them up to the next group. So I use this for recruiting for LFI. So then I have the Discover Business Boost group that I invite them to, and that kind of takes them up a level, and I give them more specific training in this group. And then once I graduate them from there, from just being a Shuffle customer into wanting to become a Shuffle affiliate, then I bump them into the next level up. And this is where I'm going to focus on teaching them the skills on being an affiliate, and for those relational marketing skills, and I'm going to teach them how to lead a group and all of that kind of thing. So you can use the group feature in WhatsApp to start grouping people and progressing them into a specific, you could say, almost like a funnel when it comes to a progression of training or a progression of more detailed information on a given topic. So I found this to be very, very useful. I have a girl over in Uganda who she keeps adding people into the Tools for Success group. And then we gradually teach them some soft skills, some business training tools. And then that's how we recruit into getting them to be a Shuffle customer. And then from there, I bring up at certain points about how you can start earning from Shuffle. And then that's when people reach out, and then we move them into the core team, which is focused, as I say, on being an affiliate. So just wanted to show you the concept of using groups as a means of progressing people along a path that you want them to take. And you just think in advance, strategically, how am I going to use these groups to funnel people along in an interactive way where they're getting value at every level.
All righty. Looking good. Hollywood, hey, it is 8:30, and you know I don't like to keep you on here because you'll get off anyway. So, You know?
Thanks, Jim, for that
You're
information.
welcome.
Jim, that was really.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. That was great.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope that you got some value out of that, and hopefully you'll take some of those skills and use them to improve your teams and your teamwork.
All righty. Steve, wake up.
I am up.
I saw you sleeping over there, man. I was like, what is he doing? He had a rough day.
He took a nap.
I did.
All right. Any questions? Everybody's good?
So you're posting this so I can go back and relook at it?
Yeah, I recorded it.
Okay.
You know,
All right. Good night, everyone.
I
Jim-
thought WhatsApp
Jim
was
is
a
quick, man. He be like,
tool.
Yeah, if you can share that with me too when you've got it ready to go.
yeah, I'll put it on. Well, I can't. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll share it with you.
Perfect.
All righty.
Thanks, everyone.
Everybody take care. Great night. Talk to you later.
All right.